Hey, this is Tim Pierce. I was soloing over the riff to Rock and Roll Hoochie Koo. The reason for that is Edgar Winter has been coming over to the studio and recording a Johnny Winter tribute record. So I'm immersed in Johnny Winter's style right now. I realize that Johnny Winter is a big part of the DNA of my lead style. Every time I go and as much as I credit Clapton, really the main DNA for that is Johnny Winter. I listened to a live Johnny Winter record called Johnny Winter and about 2,700 times, maybe 27,000 times. I just listened to it constantly and it got burned in. So there's a lot of his DNA in my DNA. Now, my role on this record is more as a utility and rhythm player. The reason for that is this record features guitar stars. They've already recorded Lukather, Bonamassa, and Billy Gibbons. So this record's going to take a little while to finish because a lot of the guitar dignitaries that are going to appear on it are on the road this summer. So Edgar has to be patient and wait to grab these people whenever they're available, maybe just for a day or for a few hours. The reason I get to work on this record is because of Ross Hogarth. Ross is a Grammy-winning engineer-producer. Known him for a long time. He's got a great discography, including Van Halen's last record. Ross is bringing Edgar over. If you'd have told me when I was 12 years old that Edgar Winter would be coming to my studio to ask me to record on his record, I would have fainted. Now, we all have our heroes in life, and Edgar Winter is a hero of mine. It just depends on where you are and what's happening around you when you're kind of learning to play your instrument. I saw the Edgar Winter Band at its peak in Albuquerque, New Mexico, with Dan Hartman, Chuck Ruff, and Ronnie Montrose. You know, the Frankenstein era. They were amazing. But before that, I listened to Roadworks, which was the Edgar Winter Group, a different configuration with Rick Derringer and Johnny Winter and Jerry LaCroix. Another live record I probably listened to thousands of times. Now, Edgar still has a very strong touring organization, and they're very busy. They play a lot of shows. His guitar player, Doug Rappaport, is particularly ferocious. So what follows is a lesson on one-chord rock guitar solo playing. It presents its challenges. You got to come up with a lot of different kind of things in order to keep interest high when you're playing over one chord. Johnny Winter was especially good at this. This solo lesson is a small piece of episode 157 in the Masterclass, where I explore one-chord soloing inspired by Johnny Winter with tabs and a jam track. Click the link below if you want to check out the Masterclass. We're up to over 100 hours of lessons and content. I borrowed this guitar from Norm's Rare Guitars. I started to play it, and I started to fall in love with it. It's a 2003. There's nothing special about the lineage or the pedigree of this guitar, but it's just particularly good. You know, new guitars, sometimes 1 in 100 are particularly magical, and I believe this is one of those. I kept lowering the action, and it kept playing great. It doesn't fret out. It stays in tune, and it has this sound. I believe it's all the mass in the headstock, this huge headstock, these big heavy tuners, big wide neck, and then this plank that runs through the guitar. It really makes, and then the mini humbuckers, which have a lot of clarity and a lot of size. So I actually bought this guitar, and it was pretty reasonable, but it's one of those things. If you run across a guitar that you really love, you have two choices. You either buy it or lose it forever. And I didn't want to lose this one, so I bought it, and I'm very grateful. I love it. So here's the excerpt from the Masterclass. I encourage you to take the 14-day free trial. This is what allows me to do all these free YouTube videos. Thanks so much for your support. This lick starts in the first position, open. Hammering up to fret 3 on the low E string, and then playing the open A and D. And then you pull off at fret 3 on the A string and repeat that phrase twice. I'll show you. Now we hammer up to 2 on the D string, play the open G, repeat. To finish that part, we hammer and pull up to fret 2 and off on the G string. And now walk back down chromatically, 2, 1, open, pull off, pull, and then strike the A tonic open. Let's do the whole thing. I'll do it fast. I'll do it slow. Now I'm in a perfect spot to go to the high strings but stay in the same position. So I just take my third finger, smash it down on the top 2 strings because I'm going to use them both, and I do this. I'm pulling up to match the pitch just 1 fret up because it's quick and it's kind of a blues bend chromatic. So lay down your finger hard, but not too hard, but you want to have power and you want to have it definite on both strings. Pull up when you strike the second note. Pull off down to 1, strike the tonic, do it twice. And to give the lick symmetry, you add these 3 notes at the end. Makes it asymmetrical, makes it last the right amount of time. So you come from here, connect them with no space in between, 1 note after the other, low to high. Same thing, quickly jump up here with no space. It's hard to do. You just kind of have to lighten up and lift up and jump up here real quick to 7. Smash your finger down on the B string and the G string. So what you're actually doing here is you're pulling up when you strike. So you bring your hand up and you're landing right here on 7, but you pull as you strike. And doing double stops on the B string and the G string down to 5. Listen. Yeah. Alternate picking up here, but you're doing both strings. Landing on the 1 A note tonic. So fast. And it can be a little bit sloppy. And once again, you want to pull up, you want to come up quick. And all it took for me to do that was to lighten up as I went up, so the pressure was off my finger and I was able to get there really fast. That time I missed it a little bit.